Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, text number 20 and 21. So we'll do 20 first, and then we'll go into 21. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashayaha karmani abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashayaha karmani abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashayaha karmani abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Somebody like to try? Kinchit karoti saha. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashayaha karmani abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Anybody else? Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashayaha karmani abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nirashayaha karmani abhipravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. Word for word. Tyaktva, having given up, karma phalas asangam, attachment for fruitive results, nitya, always, tripta, being satisfied, nirashayaha, without any shelter, karmani, in activity, abhipravrittaha, being fully engaged, api, in spite of, na, does not, eva, certainly, kinchit, anything, karoti, do, saha, he. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. Abandoning all attachment to results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent. He performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So we can repeat the translation. Abandoning all attachment to results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent. He performs no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So there seems to be a contradiction here. Let's see what Prabhupada puts in the purport. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This freedom from bondage of action is possible only in Krishna consciousness, when one is doing everything for Krishna. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. Why he has no results for the results of the action? Because he's acting for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, class over. That's the main point of today's verse. He is not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is though he were not doing anything. This is a sign of akarma, or action without fruitive reactions. What is akarma? Action without fruitive reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness is binding upon the worker, and that is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained herein before. Now we'll do 21 as well. We're asked to do 21 as well. Nirasiryata chittatma tyaktva sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvam napti kilambasam. Translation. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence, perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Purport. A Krishna conscious person does not expect good or bad results in his activities. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled. He knows that because he is part and parcel of the Supreme, the part played by him as part and parcel of the whole is not his own activity, but is only being done through him by the Supreme. When the hand moves, it does not move on its own accord, but the endeavor of the whole body. A Krishna conscious person is always dovetailed with the Supreme desire, for he has no desire for personal sense gratification. He moves exactly like a part of a machine. As a machine's part requires oiling and cleaning for the maintenance, so a Krishna conscious man maintains himself by his work, just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He is therefore immune to all the reactions of his endeavors. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship even over his own body. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animal in his possession, yet the animal does not protest. Nor does it have any real independence. A Krishna conscious person, fully engaged in self-realization, has very little time to falsely possess any material object for maintaining body and soul. He does not require unfair means for accumulating money. He does not therefore become contaminated by such material sins. He is free from all reactions to his actions. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavanamuscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanamuscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastatya Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Vancha Kalpataruvasya Kapasya Patitana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo. So, we're continuing with this little bit confusing but very, very interesting aspect of Krishna's teachings. He himself even admits that not everybody can understand this aspect of akarma. It's a little technical, it's a little abstract, it's not too clear, because the person is acting, and if he's acting, he's either doing two things. He's either doing good or bad. And if he's doing good, he's acquiring piety, punya. And if he's doing bad, then it's vikarma, against Vedic principles. But here's a concept that we've been hearing about right from the 16th verse onwards. 17th, it was very emphatic, where Krishna clearly gave, that was last week's verse, last week Wednesday, 3 definitions of karma: akarma, vikarma and karma. And we went over Isa Upanishad, where we saw the definitions. So from here onwards, right up till verse 23, Krishna is emphatically explaining this point about karma, akarma. Akarma is acting, but not out of your own accord, acting out of interest of the Lord. So this is a very unique principle, and it's the highlight of the Bhagavad Gita, because Arjuna has to act. Remember, where is he? He's on the battlefield, he has to fight, and he doesn't know whether he should fight or shouldn't fight, and he's still confused about this. So in this chapter, there's 2 ideas. In this chapter 4, there's 2 basic ideas. One of detachment to matter, and the other one is attachment to Krishna. And both of those need knowledge. You need knowledge, that's why it's called transcendental knowledge, this chapter. You need knowledge in order to know how to detach from matter, and you need knowledge in order to know how to get attached to Krishna. So both of these are required. Now, right from the, it's a very interesting, if we just take a kind of, what do you call it, flow chart of this chapter and the previous chapter, where we are right now is actually a detour. This whole section is a complete detour from what Krishna was talking about. And now in this section that we're doing right now, Krishna is aligning it and bringing it back. And we're going to see how, and then we're going to explore this part of karma. So Krishna was explaining earlier on in this chapter that how is it that he acts and he doesn't get affected by karma or karmic activity, and it was due to his transcendental nature. So he explained that point quite clearly. It's due to his transcendental nature that he's able to act and not be influenced by karma. So in the beginning of today's purport, Prabhupada starts by saying, this freedom from the bondage of action is possible only in Krishna consciousness. The only way to get free from bondage is to act in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, not possible. Then he goes on to say, when one is doing everything for Krishna, Now, one may say, well, where does freedom come into this then? Like Prabhupada gave the example, we'll go over it also in 21st, there's 2 verses we're doing today. So in the 21st verse, in the purport, Prabhupada gives 2 examples there. One of the machine, that how this machine, a well-oiled machine, is this working. So are we machines then? Don't we have any independence to act? So we're going to go over this point and see what exactly Krishna is trying to bring out here. So he's explaining very early in the 3rd chapter, 3.9, he's explaining this point, and we discussed this toward the question answer part last week. Yagyatat karmano, yagyatat karmano. Yes, yagyatat karmano. No, 3.9. Not anyata. Anyway, he was explaining lokayam karma bandhana tadartam karma konteya mukta sangam samachara, that work has to be done for the purpose of Krishna, otherwise it is binding. That's the essence of it. If you act in any capacity, in any way, if you don't do it for Krishna, it is going to be binding. It's going to bind one down. So Prabhupada goes on to say here, a Krishna conscious person acts then out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of his actions. So although he's working, although he's doing activity, he's not attached to the results of his action. And he's very happy because he understands with knowledge that as soon as I own the action, I am responsible for the results. I also own the results then. If I'm going to do pious activity, I'm going to get pious results to me. And if I do bad activity, vikarma, bad activity results is going to come to me. But when one is acting in Krishna consciousness, he can do and act in the same capacity. But if Krishna is the center to please Krishna, then he's purifying his existence and is fulfilling the desire that he has. So it's a very unique concept, this. So the goal is to give up karma, for karma is selfish. In its own aspect, what Krishna is trying to explore here from 16 right up till 23, there is this aspect of akarma. That is saying you have to act. There's no question of not acting. But if you're going to act, and if you act for your own accord, then it's selfish, and then you are liable for the reactions of that. So how then to act and still enjoy and still be happy in this material world? That's the principle. How to do all these things and still not get any reaction, bad reaction, and at the end transcend this world. Well, then we have to connect to Krishna. And we're going to see how, right? So, yes. So in the beginning of this fourth chapter was a continuation from the third chapter a little bit, and then a question came about by Arjuna. Now that question, he was asking, how is it that that you spoke to the sun god? Remember this? How is it that you spoke to the sun god when it's so many millions of years before, thousands, millions of years before? And then Krishna gets deviated from explaining these points. He gets deviated. He moves away from this karma yoga section, and he starts explaining about his own activities. And then those famous verses, Janma karma chame divyam, and before that yada yada dharmasya and paritranaya sadhanam, all those aspects of Krishna's activities coming. And then right up to 15 and then back into 16, he brings it back to what he was talking about. You get the flow, how it's going? So Krishna was speaking about karma. He actually wants to complete this aspect of karma, and he wants to explain 3 different types of karma, which we did last week, right? Akarma, vikarma, and karma. And in these verses, he wants to elaborate on akarma, introducing it as a way to act but not get reaction. If you catch this point, then you'll get some idea of what bhakti is when he starts to explain devotional service and bhakti. So it's an introduction of karma yoga, which is, he's introducing this aspect, but his intention is to lead it up to bhakti, devotion. It's an introduction of karma yoga intended to lead up to devotion, bhakti yoga, which will come later on. So let's just trace this quickly. In 335, chapter 3, verse 35, Krishna starts this flow. And this is like what I was saying now. We're just going to trace it quickly so we get a clear idea what actually happened, that Krishna is going back into karma now. Because he was just speaking about himself. How did this happen now? So 335 then. We'll just read the translations to save a bit of time. It is far better, in 335, it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty. For to follow another's path is dangerous. So he's encouraging to act, to do your duty, to do karma. And Krishna was trying to elaborate on that, and Arjuna came across with a question. What is that question? We spoke about that. Oh, how did you speak to the sun god? Just hold on. Where did the sun god come in here? So Krishna got moved away from this karma section. And then he spoke about who he is and how he spoke to the sun god, how he establishes the disciplic chain, and he comes to re-establish dharma and all of that. And now he's coming back. Okay, you clear now, Arjuna? Right. Let's go back to what we were talking about. That's what's happening here. Okay? So, to act according to dharma, he was explaining there. Then in 336, the Arjuna asked, what makes a man act sinfully? Then Krishna explains this knowledge. Evam buddhi param bhutva samstabhaya atmanam atmana jahi shatru mahabaho kama rupa durasarana. It's this lust that makes one act sinfully. So he clarified that point, and then he goes on to establish himself. Then Arjuna asks another question to Krishna, and then Krishna comes back here. So that's the flow of how we're going, right? Now let's go back to what Prabhupada says in the purport here. Prabhupada says in the purport here, he is not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. So what he's explaining is a very high level of Krishna consciousness. This akarma is a very high level of Krishna consciousness. It's action completely dedicated fully to Krishna. And we're going to see glimpses of that just now. So it's a devotee who's completely sold out to serving Krishna. And in that way, his pleasure is being derived from that. So Prabhupada goes on, nor is he anxious to secure things. Very high level. We're always anxious to secure things, right? We need a certain amount of liabilities for our comfort. If we don't have a certain amount of assets, mobile phone, computers, projectors, then we're not so happy, right? So what Krishna is what Prabhupada is introducing here is the introduction of pure devotion as a principle, just being spoken about. Of course, this is the purport, but Prabhupada is elaborating on Krishna's thought. He is not fully explaining bhakti yet, but he's hinting into it. And he's trying to tell Arjuna, this is what I want you to move towards. Let's hear more about this wonderful qualities of the devotee. He's not anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. If somebody had to come and take something away that belongs to you, oh, I'll be very angry, you know. So we get attached to our things that belong to us, right? That we feel belong to us. We get attached to them. But what Prabhupada is describing here is a person completely detached. He does his duty he does his duty to the best of his ability. That means he's not acting, but he's fully acting. He's doing his duty, but to the best of his ability. What can I do to please Krishna? And leaves everything to Krishna. Everything. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavata kinchana savai guna tatra sahasra sohu harava bhaktasya sukito mahan guna manoratim asati ravato bihi. These great qualities of the devotee. Great attachment to Krishna, completely fixed on Krishna, completely surrendered to Krishna, not deviated. He's not distracted by the material, because he has knowledge now. Remember the title of this chapter, Transcendental Knowledge. He has knowledge, so he's acting with knowledge. And in that he's getting the most pleasure of life. So he has a transcendental understanding about things, not just a theoretical understanding. And it's based on transformation. His heart is changed. It's not just a theoretical thing anymore. It's not just, oh yeah, I should give up that, and I should give up that, and I should follow these 10 things. Okay. That's theoretical. What Prabhupada is describing here is it's something, a part of somebody's life naturally. He's not pretending to be in this state. It's a natural state, but it's a very, very high exalted state. So it's not just to know about Krishna. It's not just to know about what Krishna does and know about his energies. It's to really know Krishna. You can only act this way if you really know Krishna, because in that state you're completely convinced about his presence. You're completely convinced Krishna is omnipresent. Krishna is personally present right here next to me, behind me, all over around me. Is completely experiencing Krishna everywhere. Therefore, in that state, he's fully absorbed in trying to serve that principle, that aspect of Krishna. Very, very high. So, and Krishna is explaining, earlier on he did explain that this is not easy. Don't think this is easy to achieve. This is the sadhya, this is the goal that we want to achieve. And he's even saying great sages, great acharyas in the past have achieved this by example, by following others who have achieved this. So it's not an easy thing, of course, by any means. But it's an introduction into the aspect of completely surrendered to Krishna. When it comes to Sarva Dharman Paritaja, then we'll be fully aware by that stage of Krishna's full potency, full loving reciprocation, his wonderful exchange with his devotees. By then we'll be fully convinced of what Prabhupada is explaining in the purport here. So everything comes down to motivation. What is motivating karma? What is motivating vikarma? And what is motivating what we're hearing about akarma? What are we motivated to do? If our motivation is absolutely pure to serve Krishna, then it's akarma. If our motivation is to serve against the regulative principles for our self-interest, then it is vikarma. Or if it's in a pious way, it is karma. So what is our motivation? It comes down to that. So we cannot not act. So we have to change our desire from selfishness to serving to Krishna. It's not that the state that we're in right now is natural. This is not a natural state. It feels natural because of the false ego. The false ego is telling us, no, this is actually your identity. Therefore you serve that identity of the person you think you are. But the real identity, when you come to know that, and when you get to understand the connection of that identity with Krishna, then it's completely, you can really act on the stage of akarma, of what is being described. So, yes. So Prabhupada goes on in the purport of 20. Such an unattracted person is always free, such an unattached person is always free from the resultant actions of good and bad. What is commonly known as good and bad? Karma. Karma, you do good, you do bad. What goes around comes around, good and bad. So one is free from karma, and it is as though he were not doing anything. He's working, but he's not getting any reactions for this. How is this possible? Arjuna is confused. He's never experienced this kind of a concept before. So Krishna is really taking the time to explain this to him. This is a sign of akarma, Prabhupada says that. Or actions without fruitive reactions. No resultant. I'm just serving for Krishna's pleasure. We have this as a theory as devotees. But how much and to the degree we apply it will depend on our individual convictions and experiences. So it's a deep principle to try to come to grips with. So it's not to renounce action, but to renounce selfish action. Prabhupada then goes on. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness is binding. Anything else will bind you. It will bind you to good or it will bind you to bad, but it's binding upon the worker. And that is the real aspect of big karma, as explained herein before. Then to the purport of 21. A Krishna conscious person does not expect good or bad results. He's not expectant. Anya bilashita shunyam Gyan, karma, anavritam. He's not wanting, he's trying to get rid of the aspect of Gyan and karma to the 0 degree, till there's no more karma, no more Gyan. And if he is acting and there's no more karma, no more Gyan, that means it's bhakti. That means there's no motivation anymore other than devotion to Krishna. So good or bad results in his activities. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled. Vivasatmika buddhi eke kurunandana bahushaka hoyanantascha buddhiyor vivasaya. One pointed. This verse was so powerful, it gave Prabhupada so much of inspiration. to start this movement, ISKCON. This one verse, being one-pointed, fixed and controlled at the same time. He knows that because he is part and parcel. This is his conviction now. How is he acting like this? Because he's convinced, I am part and parcel of Krishna. And as the part of Krishna, I'm supposed to serve the whole. Prabhupada says, part and parcel of the Supreme. The part played by him as a part and parcel of the whole. It is not his activity, but is only being done through him by the Supreme. He is the via medium. He is acting in such a way just to please Krishna. And at the same time, Krishna is not hard-hearted. He knows that the devotee needs certain things, but he's not asking for it. Krishna reciprocates. How many times have you been in a situation where you thought of something or desired something and said, oh well, maybe, I shouldn't ask for this. And all of a sudden, somehow or the other, through some arrangement, it somehow comes to you. It's Krishna's reciprocation, because he is a person. A person reciprocates. An impersonal thing does not reciprocate. So Krishna reciprocates with your effort to love and please him. Krishna then, in the verse, Prabhupada translates this, Tyaktva sarva parigraha. Person who has no possessive mentality. He has no possessive mentality. He simply wants to serve. He simply wants to please Krishna. If you have such a desire, you are very fortunate. If you don't, you're still fortunate, because you have the association of people who have such a desire. And you can see what it's doing to them, because they become attractive. Like, how is this person so happy? How is this person so content? How is this person so satisfied? And these are the things that you think you're going to get from material objects by doing karma, and it's not coming. It's not happening. And here's somebody who's not doing any of this, and he seems to have these qualities you want. And then you start to follow. What is it you're doing, Prabhu? Mataji, what is it you're doing? How are you able to be like this in such a difficult situation? Health so bad, Adi Atmik, Adi Bodhid, Adi Devik, all these things disturbing, and still you're able to remember and be focused on Krishna. Very attractive. So, in this verse, in the purport, Prabhupada gives two examples here. Very interesting examples. It can be easily misunderstood if it's not explained clearly. Prabhupada explains himself, but one just reading it over may say, well, it sounds mechanistic, because Prabhupada gives the example of a well-oiled machine. But the principle he's trying to explain is that we are part and parcel of the Supreme. As part and parcel, we are supposed to serve the Supreme. And Prabhupada many times used the example of the finger or the hand, and he does so even here. What is the function of the hand if it's removed? It can't serve any purpose. If you were in the West, maybe you can make an ornament. They do that with animals sometimes. They put different trophies of them. They kill a deer or a tiger or something, and they make only the head, they'll put it on a stand and put it in a wall unit, And they'll do that with the monkeys also. They say the monkey's hand has certain mystical powers about it. So people believe that, and then when they trap monkeys, they mummify their hand and put it onto a stand kind of thing. Well, what is the purpose of it though? It's just a belief, But what is the purpose of it? It can't serve any function, but connected to the body, it can do so many things. You can scratch your head, you can eat food. How would you eat prasad without hands? There was one devotee who actually came here. I think he was maybe a Russian devotee, who had both his arms were removed somehow. I don't know, maybe through medical or whatever. And he was amazing. He had no hands, and he would go to the Mahaprasad counter. Around his neck, he would have his rupees in his purse around his neck. He would go there, he'd say, remove this in there, take out 20 rupees, whatever. He would buy the prasad, and they would put it between his neck and his shoulder, like that. Have you seen him? And he would walk to a place, put the prasad there, and then just eat it with his mouth. And he's a devotee. He chants. You'll see him always trying to, he has half an arm, but he tries to lift his hands up during kirtan. But other than that, what is the value of the hand if it's disconnected from the body? So it's not mechanistic, but Prabhupada is describing this principle, that it only works when it's connected to Krishna. Let's see quickly the rest of the purport. When the hand moves, it does not move out of his own accord, but by the endeavor of the whole body. A Krishna conscious person is always dovetailed with the supreme desire, for he has no desire for personal sense gratification. It's not that sense gratification is bad. Personal sense gratification is bad. We are always eating so much of wonderful, nice things. We are seeing and hearing wonderful music, kirtan, watching the beautiful darshan of the deities. That's all sense gratification. But personal sense means for myself, then that becomes bad. He moves exactly like a part of the machine. As a machine part requires oiling and cleaning and maintenance, so a Krishna conscious person maintains himself by his work, just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So he just maintains himself just to remain fit for action to serve the Lord. That's all, that's his motivation. I simply want to serve Krishna. He's completely convinced on that level that the goal of my life is to serve Krishna. And I think many of you have come to that point. You've dedicated your life in serving Krishna. So the point here is, try to purify it till it comes to no karma, no jnana. Then it's pure bhakti. Right now we want a little. This morning Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhu was explaining, we want something for ourselves, otherwise who would do any work? You want to distribute books because you're going to get 90-10, different percentages, different things like that. So we want to try to come to the point where it's 0-0. So Prabhupada then goes on. He is therefore immune to all the reactions of his endeavors. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship even over his own body. It's not to say that he doesn't, it's explaining the point of surrender. It's explaining the principle of surrender. Like you'll see just now, when animals are being in a slaughterhouse and the others have been killed, the others don't know, they don't protest. This is ignorance actually. So it's not that we are completely like animals, no thinking capacity. No, we use thinking capacity for Krishna's service. We build wonderful temples, we arrange big preaching programs simply for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. So we're using all these facilities. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animal in his possession. So even though an animal belongs to somebody, it may even be killed by the owner and it doesn't protest. Prabhupada says, yet the animal does not protest. So it's not describing the act of complete foolishness like an animal's ignorance, but it's showing the point of surrender. The point of surrender. Nor does it have any real independence. A Krishna conscious person is fully engaged in self-realization. He's engaged, but in self-realization. And he has very little time for falsities. For falsely possesses any material object for maintenance of body and soul. He does not require unfair means to acquiring money. He does not therefore become contaminated by such material sins. He is free from all reactions to his actions. So we covered 2 lengthy purports there. But again, it's the same principle of karma. It's trying to, Krishna is introducing this point and he wants Arjuna to catch it. So we're going to see quickly now how we can so anybody knows what that is? Huh? Stones? A jar full of stones, right. Now in America there's also an idea of a cookie jar. You know what's a cookie jar? I think it's in other parts of the world also. But if you do something good, mommy gives you a cookie. She opens the jar and takes out a cookie or a biscuit and gives you a cookie. Fruit of results. So that's the point we want to come. So just like this jar full of stones, but if you think that those stones were cookies, then it would be the cookie jar, the reward that you do some karma or action and you'd get some reaction, good action in that. Now, this is a nice saying about karma. Karma has no menu. It serves out what you deserve. You know, if you go to a restaurant and you have a menu and you choose what you want, but here what you deserve you will get according to your action. That's what we've been learning around. Whatever you're doing, whatever activities you are performing, according to that you will get what you deserve. So that is a yes. So from childhood we learn about the world, but what we don't learn is about karma, about action. Now if you teach a child from small that not to kill an animal, you'll get bad reaction, then it's not only good for the child, it's also good for the animal, like the caterpillar in this sense. So you will learn this. If we learn this principle from childhood, then it's easier to adapt it as we get older. Now a child is innocent, he doesn't know. It doesn't mean he's not going to get a reaction. If this child, you hear this, you know, little boys, maybe little girls also, they play with the ants and kill the ants because they don't know. They think it's something that's just moving and how can I stop it and catch it? And they don't understand the aspect of killing or death. So if a child is understood it, if you're able to teach this to a child, then from an early age you're able to transcend this point. This is an how many of you know what is barbecue? It's an American, yeah? What's it? Yes, you cook over an open fire. But read the second line there. What does it say? Yes. So they are gathering for blessings to pray for the animals, and after that we're going to have prasad. And what is the prasad? Look at that. Look at the logic in that. So you gathering to pray for animals, blessings for the animals, we'll pray for the animals, but after that we'll have prasad, and this is what we'll have barbecue. So where is the logic in this? Where is the logic? We're not going to say, those of you who are here can read on the top, where's this from? That's not me on the right. So everybody wants to be happy. That's the goal of life, to try to be happy. And if we feel by wearing sunglasses and putting a big smile artificially, that's going to make us happy, it's external. The real happiness will come when we serve Krishna, karma. Otherwise, it's not going to work. We can try artificial things, we've tried, and it just doesn't satisfy, it just doesn't get there. So this is the one who Prabhupada also mentions in purport, that animals are being killed in a slaughterhouse. So you can see the other animals are not protesting. So as you act, so you are building your body for the next life. This picture is from Bhagavad Gita. So you can see, if you act in a lusty way, what birth you'll get in the next life? You get a dog. If you act in a greedy, gluttonous way, what birth you'll get in the next life? Pig. You can see that. So just keep that about eating, because watch this next slide. Now I'm going to ask you a trick question. What do you see there? What is that? Are you sure it's a chicken?
All feathers have been removed.
Ah, very observant. Now this is a chicken on the farms of KFC. KFC is a famous chicken franchise in the West. It's called Kentucky Fried Chicken. And this is one of their farms where they grow these chickens. And they genetically modified this chicken to have no feathers. This is I didn't want you to disturb you too much. There's another one where the organism doesn't have any head. It's only the body, and it's alive by genetic modification, so that you don't have to waste money on removing the feathers and things. Now, there was a court case on this to say this is not a chicken anymore. These organisms are not chickens anymore. So you have to change your name from Kentucky Fried Chicken to something else. So their lawyers were so intelligent, they changed the name from Kentucky Fried Chicken just to KFC, which is, everybody uses abbreviation these days, right? So it means the same thing, but legally it's a new name. It's called KFC. It's a new name. And they got clean away with this kind of atrocious behavior. So this is what we are eating. This is what people eat. So what is the karmic reaction of this? Let's see the next one. This again, what birth you will get. You're already developing your body for your next life. So this is what you will get as you develop your tendencies in that karma, in that field. This is the kind of body you get. So we always cry, why does it happen to me? Why does it have to happen to me? So we create a storm, and then when it rains, and then we get disturbed. Because when there's storm, it must rain. You must get rain when it storms. So we get all worked up about things, and then when it finally doesn't happen the way we want it, we get disturbed. So look at the big bag at the back of this old person's back. This is fruit of work. She has to be supported by a stick, and then there's a huge bag on the back of the person, that they're carrying this whole load. It may even be pious activity, but it's a whole load of pious activity that has to be take another birth in order to finish that. What akarma, what we're learning about is akarma, which means no more bondage. This is bondage. This person is dressed very well as an educated person, but what is he using as a tie? It's a rope. It's a rope around his neck. He's not realizing, oh, I'm very educated, I'm very well off, and I'm very intelligent person, and I don't need to know about God and believe in all these things. But this is intellectual slavery. That's why it's not so easy. Krishna is saying this even in the previous verses. It's not so easy to understand these karma, akarma, vikarma, especially akarma. Because you think, how is it he acting? He's acting, but he's not getting reaction. So be careful of this trap. Greed, again, counting the paisa. You see them in Loy Bazaar, right? When no customers are there, it's just like flipping through the paisa. So greed for money, greed for wealth. So it's confusing. And if it's so confusing, how to work this out then? How to act as a karma? Because what Prabhupada has given us is so lofty. It's such a high level of expression of devotion. Somebody sold out, dedicated. So this is a maze, and you can see the person in the confused state. They're trying to figure out, how do I get through this whole thing? How do I work this out then? How do I work out life? Here again, the qualities of accumulating means you'll have to be accountable for this in the next life. Greed. So this is a very interesting person. Do you know who this man is? You can read it at the bottom there, or read it at the top. He's the president of Uruguay, or Uruguay. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Uruguay. And he's the he's the poorest president in the whole world. He earns about $12,000, and 90%, 90, of that he gives back to the country. He only takes $1,200 for himself. This is the car he drives. It's not a limousine. It's not a Uruguayan limousine. It's a very simple car, but it's the act of fruitive work, and he's taking what he needs, and he's doing because he probably understands the principle of over accumulating. Why do I need to take so much? I only need $1,200. Why do I need to take that amount of money when I could try and use it for the benefit of other people? Now it's a good sentiment, but without the devotional aspect, this would just be what? Pious activity. Which means what? Which means he'll be born in that country again in the next life. Because he's so attached to serving the country and the people of that country, he'll be born again there. That's the danger of this, right? So you're seeing now practically how we're trying to explain this concept of akarma. Revenge and karma. We want to revenge or avenge ourselves when people hurt us and things like that. But if you just let karma, the law of karma takes its role, it will do its justice. It's a principle. It may not happen when we want it to happen, but it will come about. It will come about. And we always ask, why does it happen to me? Why me? I'm doing good. I'm a good person. I don't hurt anyone. I haven't done bad to anybody. Why did this happen to me right now? But what we're hearing about, this akarma bhakta, is completely sold out to Krishna. So, what's the solution? How do we understand then how to act? Because that's what Krishna is coming to here. How to act in this material world and not be attached to the results, not get reaction. So in general, if people try to understand how to clean karma, so to speak, cleanse karma, you see the different statements written up there? Do you see anything devotional there? Anything that signifies akarma? No. Because people don't understand the principle of akarma. That's why Krishna was saying also, it's so difficult. The closest they come there is to love, be grateful. None of this is devotional. And yet this is supposed to cleanse karma or remove bondage. So they actually don't understand the principle of karma. The only way to remove bondage is akarma, serve Krishna directly. Otherwise it's not possible. So what goes around comes around. Whatever you do in karma, whatever you do, you get back. So that's the same principle again. We're going over the principle again. But we want to know how to cleanse it, how to become free from bondage. So only the devotee knows this. You can look on the left there. It's a graduate. Somebody who's graduated. Now if you look carefully, you see he's wearing the graduation cap. But what is in his thought? Just above his head? Dollars, paisa. And on the right side you have a devotee, but if you look at his tilak carefully and his sika carefully, it kind of resembles The tilak resembles a cap. You see that in the front of his forehead. And the little sika at the back resembles a little tail on the graduate's hat as well. So he is a graduate. What does he graduated from? He's graduated from the lessons of this material world. No more bondage. He's going back. He's going back to the spiritual world. He's understood. So the only way you can do that is by understanding the principle of our karma. And Prabhupada has so expertly designed programs for us to engage in this world and not be attached, like book distribution. They're uniting the whole world in serving Krishna. You see there all the different flags of the world. So the devotee is completely sold out in serving Krishna. He begs to Krishna. You see the hands? The devotee begs mercy from Krishna. Please be kind to me. Give me some service. What is the meaning of the Maha Mantra? Roughly, my dear Lord, please engage me in your devotional service. He begs from the Lord, please engage me. That is our karma. Please engage me in your service. Again here, you see the devotee begging out to the Lord, please engage me, Krishna. Please give me some service to serve you and please you. So, anybody has seen this? Why you're all laughing? Where have you seen this? Yes, in the front here by this police chungi, right? Right. What does it say there? Vrindavan police, please stop. So to enter the realm of devotion, to enter Vrindavan, you have to stop there first. And you have to think about, am I doing karma, akarma or vikarma? Because Vrindavan is the land of our karma, pure unalloyed devotion to Krishna. So even a sign like that can remind us of these activities. And we can see how this is what's required. In order to go beyond this point, it has to be pure devotion to Krishna. At least in heart. If we have this in heart, maybe not in deed yet, but at least in heart, if the desire is there to cultivate that. Otherwise the Vrindavan police, Lord Shiva and his assistants, they guard the Dham. They will not keep us here very long. They will remove us from here if we continue with vikarma and karmic activity. Here's a devotee who's praying to Krishna. You can see he's not somebody who's dressed in devotional attire. That means he's doing karma, he's doing activity, but he's not forgetting to serve Krishna. He's not forgetting the aspect of remembering Krishna, prayer to Krishna. That's our karma. So the devotees who are full-time devotees, they are engaged fully in the material world in service. And how they're doing it? Through Sankirtan. Vishnujan Maharaj was once doing a Sankirtan part, a kirtan, and one man was he's a mechanic, and was fixing his cars there. And he said, you Hare Krishna people, why don't you get a job? You're just jumping around and singing on the roads, why don't you get a job? And he says, job means, look at my hands, it's all calloused and hard due to hard work. And those who know Vishnujan Maharaj, he would wear a racing glove. And he removed the glove and he showed his hand from playing mridanga. And when that person saw his hand calloused like that, he was completely, he never expected that. So the devotees are very much engaging in service in the world, acting in the world for Krishna. And this is my favorite devotee. I hope I'll see him one day. Who's always engaged. Can you imagine where I always show this one? He's traveling and keeps a deity of Krishna with him, books a seat for Krishna. He's hearing about Krishna all the time. He's fully in the material world, but everything is akarma. He's fully acting on the transcendental level. He may not be that in its perfect stage, but you can see by his activity, his desire is to be that. And of course, the best example of the akarmic bhakta, one completely dedicated to serving Krishna, and who's taught us how to serve Krishna in that way with great headache and great trouble, Srila Prabhupada. This is a nice one. One who kneels before God can stand before anyone. One who takes the power of God, who understands the potency of God, who understands what God can do with him, like Prabhupada is saying in the purport, is using as a via medium. He can stand before anyone. I don't know. It's not. I won't know where is it from. Is it not say at the bottom? No, but it's a nice one, isn't it? Yeah, it's empowering. It gives you faith that you can, if you have Krishna Nam, and if you have faith in the spiritual master and his teachings, you can stand before anyone. And you know the amazing thing, people can feel it. They can see this person is really convinced about what he's speaking. And of course, happiness comes by glorifying Krishna. This is what we ultimately want to experience, not just theoretical. We want to experience this point. Does happiness really come by glorifying Krishna? The more we'll only know it if we do it. And the more we do it, we can see the more, oh yes, I'm actually becoming happy.